The Senate will come to order. Members, please stand for the prayer. Today we will pause for a moment of silent prayer and reflection, and following that moment, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Secretary will take the roll.
Senators Abler, Anderson, Bach, Benson, Bigham, Carlson, Chamberlain, Champion, Clausen, Coleman, Swazinski, Dames, Dibble, Dornick, Draheim, Duckworth, Dietzick, Eaton, Eichhorn, Eakin, Fate, Franzen, Friends, Gazelka, Goggin, Herr, Hoffman, Housley, Howe, Ingebrigtsen, Isaacson, Jasinski, Johnson, Johnson, Stewart, Kent, Kiffmeyer, Klein, Coran, Kunish, Lang, Latz, Limmer, Marty, Matthews, McEwen, Miller, Murphy, Nelson, Newman, Newton, Osmick, Pappas, Port, Pratt, Putnam, Rarick, Rest, Rosen, Rude, Senjum, Tomasoni, Torres, Ray, Utke, Weber, Westrom, Uyghur, Wickland.
Pursuant to Rule 14.1, the following members intend to vote under Rule 40.7. Senators Anderson, Bigham, Carlson, Champion, Coleman, Dames, Dibble, Draheim, Dietzick, Eaton, Eichhorn, Eakin, Fate, Goggin, Ingebrigtsen, Isaacson, Johnson, Stewart, Kiffmeyer, Kunish, Latz, Marty, Nelson, Newman, Osmick, Putnam, Rude, Senjum, Torres, Tomasoni, Westrom, and Wickland. A quorum is present. Members will begin on the agenda today with the third order of business, messages from the House. The Secretary will read the first message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that the House refuses to concur in the Senate amendments to House File Number 164, Bill for an Act relating to energy, establishing the Energy Conservation and Optimization Act of 2021. The House respectfully requests that the Conference Committee of 3 members be appointed thereon. Stevenson, Long, and Rasmussen have been appointed as such committee on the part of the House. Senate File Number 164 is herewith transmitted to the Senate with the request that the Senate appoint a like committee. Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Senator Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate accede to the request of the House and that a conference committee for House File 164 and a conference committee on House File 164, and that a conference committee of 3 members be appointed by the subcommittee on conference committees on the part of the Senate to act with a like conference committee appointed on the part of the House.
Discussion on the Rarick motion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. The Secretary will read the next message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following House File herewith transmitted. House File Number 2539, Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
There's no action required on that message. Next, we'll move to the fourth order of business, first reading of House bills. The House file listed in the agenda will be given its first reading and referred as indicated. Next, we'll move to the fifth order of business, reports of committees. Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that committee reports printed in the agenda be adopted.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. We'll move to the sixth order of business, second reading of Senate bills. The Secretary will read the Senate file numbers.
Senate File Numbers 1712 and 2409.
Second reading. Move to the eighth order of business, introduction and first reading of Senate bills listed in today's introduction calendar. Our Senate file numbers 2503 through 2516. These Senate files are given their first reading and referred as indicated. We will move to the ninth order of business, motions and resolutions. We have a few authors' motions listed in the agenda. We'll take those authors' motions as one motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move for a brief recess for the purpose of appointing members to a conference committee.
Senator Gazelka moves for a brief recess. On that motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. The Senate's in recess. Senate will come to order. Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, is there a privilege report at the desk?
There is. The Secretary will read the report.
Senator Gazelka from the Subcommittee on Conference Committees recommends that the following senators be, and they hereby are, as appointed as a conference committee on House File Number 164. Senators Rarick, Osmek, and Friends. Senator Gazelka moves that the foregoing appointments be approved.
Discussion on the Gazelka motion read by the Secretary. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. Next, we'll move to the 13th order of business, announcements of Senate interest. Without exception, the following members will be excused from today's session. Senator Clausen all day. Announcements of Senate interest. Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President and members, there's a good article in the USA Today as far as relating to as we move forward as a culture beyond the pandemic, people getting vaccinated, and acknowledging that there are some real fears that are normal that people have as we're going to be moving out of this. And I just thought it was a very interesting article. And that's why I wanted to have it available for everybody, just to see that this is a process. I don't know if there is a second page. I don't know if they got it. It was just helpful tips of what to do. But I'm sorry, it's on the back of that article. But I think it's important. I also had a conversation with a 20-something within the last few days, and living in a different state, and actually where they had lifted up.
Hold on, Senator. Members, I'm getting indications from other members that they're having a hard time hearing. Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, talked to a 20-something person living in another state where everything had been lifted sooner, conscious about wearing the mask and following all the different guidelines. But that person had gone to a larger gathering. It was a little louder and felt the discomfort of this situation. Not that it was safe, but it was just getting used to, again, getting into culture and socializing and doing the things that we were so used to prior to the pandemic. And so this will be a transition for all of us as we try to move forward with that, and we'll try our best to try to honor each person as they're working through their own transition. And then the other thing I wanted to give an update on is there have been exchanges between the House and Governor over the weekend. We're still trying to navigate to get targets set so that we can actually do our work. I don't know that we have complete guidance yet on the federal stimulus money and how it can be spent. They think any time, but that makes it a little bit trickier as we try to navigate through. But I will say I think there is working towards getting a budget done from sides that are very different from each other. And so that is never, ever easy. But I want to say that at least people are, I think, putting their best foot forward as we try to navigate through. So with that, members, Mr. President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until Tuesday, May 11th at noon.
Senator Gazelka moves that the Senate do now adjourn until Tuesday, May 11th at 12 noon. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. The Senate is adjourned.